1, 2, 3, 4. Go away from my window, leave at your own chosen speed. There's a magnificent song from Dylan's early acoustic period, full of charm and wit and maybe a little venom too. Written in 1963, it first appeared on his 64 album Another Side of Bob Dylan. And it's one of those songs that has a particular meaning, at least for me as a student of Dylan. And I go into a little bit of detail in my big Dylan book about the meaning of this chord here, if a chord can have a meaning. So I want to look at this chord a little bit first before we go on and look at all the other chords of the song. In 1962, the young Bob Dylan was living in an apartment in New York City with a slightly younger Suze Rotolo, his girlfriend, and apparently Suze's mother wasn't particularly keen on this arrangement. In the summer of '62, Suze and her mother travelled to Perugia in Italy to enrol her in an arts course at the university there, and Dylan, by all accounts, was left bereft. Later in the year, Dylan met a British TV producer who invited Dylan to come to London, which he did in December of '62, to perform in a TV play, a drama called Madhouse on Castle Street. And unfortunately, there's no surviving footage of that performance, but Dylan immersed himself in the thriving London folk scene and met a number of people, including the young Martin Carthy, who was already an established figure. And Carthy showed Dylan his arrangement of Scarborough Fair, capo on the 4th fret, high pickle, and we have this. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? You might recognise that from the Simon and Garfunkel version of the song, and of course it was Martin Carthy who showed Paul Simon that version. That went on to become a worldwide hit. Dylan, though, didn't make a recording of Scarborough Fair, but he incorporated that chord into his own songwriting just at this point. In very early January, Dylan went to Italy to find Suze, and when he got there, he found he'd missed her. She'd already been whisked back to New York, and heartbroken, he sat down and, in my potted version of this story, he wrote Girl from the North Country, and the following day, in fact, he wrote Boots of Spanish Leather, and he began to write this song there too. The reason I'm telling you this is because this chord, or this chord, it's the same thing. One has a finger on the 5th fret of the 5th string and the other doesn't, appears in these 3 songs and nowhere else. So he'd picked this sound up from Martin Carthy, and for me, my claim is, I suppose, that this sound is really the sound of Dylan's heartbreaking. On the original, Dylan strums with a pick, and I actually don't really get on with a pick, so I'm going to use my fingers as usual. I'm going to emulate something like the original sound by strumming down with the back of my fingernails, maybe just my 2nd and 3rd fingers, and strumming up with the back of my thumbnail. Mostly we've got 4 beats in the bar, and he strums in 16ths, so each beat has 4 subdivisions. 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of a thing, but in fact he picks the bass note on the 1st and 3rd beats. I mean, it's not set in stone, but that's the kind of thing. And he keeps it quite intimate, certainly in the verse, and then it builds into what I'm calling the bridge and then the chorus, where he thrashes it about a bit more. So there's quite a dynamic range, but for now, that's the kind of sound we're after. Whether you use your thumb to articulate that bass note or just give it a strum with the fingers there. It's much of a muchness, isn't it? But that's the basic strumming style. There's a 2-bar intro just on a chord of G, really. The first bar, we have 2 beats of G, and then we go to this, C over G, another signature sound of the American folk revival. You'll hear this all over the place. Listen to April Come She Will by Paul Simon, for instance. It's exactly the same thing. And And what he's doing here is he's holding his G chord, at least for the outer strings, the 3rd fret of the top and bottom strings, but the 1st and 2nd fingers are playing as if he's going for a C chord. So there's like a G with a C inside of it, something like that. Okay, so that's the intro. But we actually have 6 beats in the 2nd bar. It's typical of Dylan at this point, really. He's just treading water, perfectly in keeping with the folk sound, just until he's good and ready. Go away to get into the verse, which we are now. And we begin with a bar of this D add 4, our famous sound there from Martin Carthy, and then we come down to a C. So we're just sliding that shape down. Go away from my window, back up, leave at your own chosen speed. Okay, so that's 5 bars altogether. We finish with this G, C over G for 2 beats and back to a bar of G, and that just repeats. I'm not the one you want, babe, not the one you need. You'll hear that hammer on. Kind of difficult to do, but that's what he does. Sometimes he does it just after the 3rd beat, but mostly he does it before. That's it. Does that in the intro too, so that's a little knack. I find that difficult, and if we go for a playthrough, I may not do that. But that's the verse. So we have a bar of our D add 4, down to C, back up again, add. And that repeats, and we're into the bridge. Again, the Carthy chord, this time without the finger on the 5th string. I'm going to call that B minor. There's also B minor 7, there's a bit of G in there and an A at the bottom, never mind. Just to distinguish it from the following chord, which is the same shape down here, a recognisable A minor 7. So look, up there for a bar, down there, and that happens 4 times. You say you're looking for someone who's never weak, but always strong. Protect you and defend you, whether you are right or wrong. Someone to open each and every door. A bar of C and a bar of D, and we're into the chorus. But it ain't me, babe. Chorus is G for a bar, half a bar each of C and D, a straight D this time, and again G for a bar, 2 beats of C, 2 beats of D, and back to G. Okay, so that's really everything. Now there are 3 verses, and each verse finishes with a little harmonica solo. I'm going to talk you through every one of the endings. It's not going to be particularly interesting, but just so that you know, each ending is slightly different. In the first verse, we get our D add 4 for a bar, 2 beats of C, 2 beats of D, and to G, like the chorus, but we get our little intro flourish at the end of that. So that's that for a bar, 2 beats of C, 2 beats of D, and at the end of the second verse, we get the same D add 4. We always get this. We get a bar of C, and this is just for a reference. D for 2 beats, A minor 7 for 2 beats, and then again we get a 6-beat bar. So in fact, after a bar of D add 4, a bar of C, D add 4 for 2, A minor 7 for 2, we effectively replicate the intro. And we're into the third verse, and this time we get our D add 4, C for a bar, D add 4 for a bar, and we finish with, guess what? That. Okay, so that's everything. There's just one more tiny little detail. If you wanted to play along with Dylan, there's no need to be obsessive about this stuff, you know, note for note. I'm sure on different takes he does different things too. So Listen, this is no gospel version, but in the second verse, at the end of the verse, we get only let you down. We get to this bar of G right at the end of the verse, and in fact he tacks on another 3 beats. Now I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but let me see if I can play the whole of the second verse just to demonstrate that. Go lightly from the ledge, babe, go lightly on the ground. I'm not the one you want, babe, I will only let you down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yo, da, 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 da. That's what happens. I mean, I can't help it, but that's what he does. Good on you, Bob. Okay, well, look, I think that's everything. Thanks ever so much for watching. I'm going to have a little playthrough of just the intro, first verse, and then the first ending, and that'll probably do me. Hopefully, see you on the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're away from my window, leave at your own chosen speed. I'm not the one you want, babe, not the one you need. You say you're looking for someone who's never weak, but always strong, to protect you and defend you, whether you are right or wrong. Someone to open each and every door. It ain't me, babe. No, 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 it ain't me, babe. It ain't me you're looking for, babe. And that's it.